Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of Darren's Tips. Let's see. Once again, yesterday we learned that none of us have any sort of challenges with listening. Today we're going to learn that no one has challenges with the following. Have you ever been to a networking event, and let's pretend it's me, and very stereotypical kind of salesperson walks up to you and you say, "Hey, what's your name? What do you do?" And I go, "Hi, my name's Darren Cecil. I'm a management consulting firm. I work with such clients as American Express, Anheuser-Busch, the National Football League trained 4,000 people for the Super Bowl, Boeing, Honda, Toyota, Qualcomm, Sony, IBM. Don't you want to spend a lot of money with me?" Can you imagine someone saying that to you? But that's how people talk at networking events. That's how people talk on sales calls. They talk about how great they are and the great companies they've worked with or the clients that they've worked with. And you know what? No one really gives a care. Because we learned yesterday, people are listening to WIFM, What's in It for Me, or MMFIAM, Make Me Feel Important I Am. They don't really care about the type of clients that you work with. They don't really care about any of those things, right? And so if I were to go to a networking event and I start talking, and sometimes people use fake voices, like that was a fake voice. For some reason, we go into like sales or networking voice, and we sound like a broadcast journalist. And I went to school with a lot of great broadcast journalists, and they have amazing voices, but they're their own voice, right? And so I don't want to come across that way. I don't want to come across like I'm better than you or what have you. Because let me ask you a question. I used to ask my clients this. Have you ever been to a cocktail party and someone knows too much about a subject? I say, "What do you want to do?" And they say this: prove that they're wrong, walk away, or punch them in the face. Imagine you want to go to an event where people want to prove that you're wrong, walk away, or punch you in the face. That's probably not a very good impression that you want to make on clients, on colleagues, on friends, on acquaintances, even on family members at family gatherings, or even in any relationship whatsoever. You see, if someone knows too much, we want to prove that they're wrong, change the subject so we know what we're talking about, or walk away, or inevitably sometimes punch them in the face. So here's the rule of thumb. It's based on a book, I'm Okay, You're Okay by Harris. And it was big in the 60s, but let's face it, a lot of things were probably big in the 60s. But what it does, it's a premise such as this. And my good colleague, mentor, friend, Bruce Seidman said, people can feel better about themselves by building you up or by tearing you down, and you get to choose. I'll say that again. People can feel better about themselves by building you up or by tearing you down, and you get to choose. If I go to a networking event and I come across like the expert in everything, people are not going to want to be around me. I'll show my age, but I went to school right near a TV show that was based on this bar, the Bull and Finch pub, which became Cheers. And there was Cliff Clavin, the mailman, and he knew everything about everything. And it kind of turned a lot of people off, I would think, right? You go to a networking event, you're not the smartest person in the room. You go to a sales call, you're not the smartest person in the room. You know, we think we want to be around people that are smarter than us, but many times we don't. Now, that doesn't mean you come across like an idiot. That simply means you're going to let people be smarter than you, right? And so I used to teach at the University of San Diego, and I would go to a faculty meeting or a cocktail party with faculty, and they would use words like pedantic, idiosyncratic, erudite, all these wonderful words that are great at faculty cocktail parties. But sometimes we use words to keep people out. I believe the USA Today is written on a 5th grade level. Why? So people will read it. So how do you exclude people? You exclude people by the following. A lot of times we use big words. Actually, this calendar is the word of the day. And sometimes you try to come up with ways to use that word because you sound like an erudite or you sound like you're smart and not coming across as pedantic, which is boring in an academic way. There's actually a pitcher. He pitches for the Red Sox now, Chris Sale. When he pitched for the White Sox, he used to have a little bet with the equipment manager for the White Sox. And the White Sox equipment manager would give him a word. And then Chris Sale had to use that word in a press conference as many times as he possibly could. And the word had nothing to do with baseball, had nothing to do with pitching. It had to do something they were just having fun with. So sometimes we use words to keep people out. How do we make people feel not okay in business? We use jargon. We use buzzwords. You know, I know there's a couple of high school people on here, which is great. Once again, shout out to Bishop Fenwick in Peabody, Massachusetts. And I was asked to write a paper on the ERA. And the nun, Sister Judith, was not as clear as she could be. At least that's how I took it. And so I did my report on the earn run average, the best way to judge a pitcher's performance in a history class. Now, she was not very pleased when I shared that with her, but in essence, she wasn't very clear. ERA to one thing to one person means something completely different. I know she wanted to do it on the Equal Rights Amendment, which is very important. But as a 15-year-old kid, what's more important, baseball or women's right to vote? I'm just saying, just being perfectly honest with you. So don't use jargon. Every industry has jargon. You know, the loan mortgage industry, ARMs and 5-year, 15-year fixed, adjustable. I don't know what a lot of that is. If you're a sports fan, you know jargon that no one else knows. No one else knows that jargon but you. So sometimes we use jargon to keep people out. The other thing we might do is talk about our degrees. Well, I went to school at this place and this place and that place. Nobody really cares. They care about, in a sales meeting, can you solve their challenge? That's what they care about. Okay, not okay. Your job is to make me feel okay during the entire networking sales process. So what does that mean? I know a lot of you here, you need to uncover the need in sales. I'm going to change that to pain because we're going to talk about that later another time. People don't make changes because of need. How many people that you know that need to stop smoking and don't, need to stop drinking but don't, need to stop doing bad behavior and don't? It has nothing to do with need. It's pain. There's a compelling emotional reason for that person to want to invest in you. And I see Gina, one of my friends from high school, and she's a teacher, and she has to uncover the student's pain to understand the best way to reach that student. And it's all individual. So if I'm going to uncover someone's pain and they say something that I can't believe I did this, now they feel not okay. And the only way they can feel better about themselves is to make me feel worse. So I have two choices. I can build them up or tear them down. So I would say it's not unusual. I hear that a lot. I would have done the same thing. Have you ever gone to dinner or lunch with me and someone breaks a dish, a waiter or waitress, or a customer breaks a dish? I'll say, you know what? That happens to me a lot. It's just instinctual. What's the right word? Maybe you guys could help me because I don't want to come across too smart. It's based on instinct, right? It's based on instinct. I'm just going to make people feel okay. So if someone does something and they're embarrassed, I mean, wasn't it horrible if you ever walked through the high school cafeteria and you dropped your tray and everyone clapped or laughed? Sometimes kids wanted to run out of the cafeteria. Imagine people say, hey, you know what? That happened to me last week. You see how we can make people feel okay? Our children, no matter what ages our children are going through a not okay status. Sometimes all day, they're not okay. And if we listen and say, you know, that happened to me when I was a kid, tell me more about that. Imagine what type of children we would have if we started to listen, right? And so if we think about that as far as okayness, our job is to make someone feel okay. So I don't use big words. I actually let someone feel smarter than I am when I'm connected. For giving my presentation in a sales meeting, I'm a laser-focused, dialed-in professional. When I'm talking to people and connecting with people, whether it's a sales call or networking event or just a social experience, I don't need to come across like the smartest person in the room. I know a lot about sports. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. And a lot of colleagues on here do. And someone may say something that's wrong. And I don't want to say, hey, you're wrong. Tom Brady went to the University of Michigan, not Michigan State. Now, what the benefit is that if I share that? I just make that other person feel bad. Now, if I need to say something to correct someone, I might say, you know what, I could be wrong, but I believe Tom Brady went to the University of Michigan. I know that because I'm almost positive, because they're a big rival of the Ohio State University where I attended school, right? And even saying the Ohio State can make people feel not okay, right? My job is to make you feel okay during the entire sales process, during the entire networking process, the entire relationship. If I make you feel okay, you're going to want to be around me more. The other thing I would say as far as okayness is, what else do I do to make people feel not okay? I can't even think. Geez, I wish I would tell. What's that? I was talking to my son the other day, and I was talking about state capitals, and you know what? He asked me the capital of South Dakota, and gosh, you guys don't know the capital of South Dakota, do you, by any chance? Now, if this was live, you would say it's Pierre, and I go, oh, that's right. Now, do you think I know it's Pierre? Yes, but when you get to say that, you feel smarter than I do. So in 4th grade, we moved to a different part of the city. I grew up in Lynn, outside of Boston. We moved to a different part of the city, and I remember Mrs. Trenoweth asked the start of the Revolutionary War, and no one raised their hand, and I'm a new kid, right? I raised my hand, and I said, the Battle of Lexington and Concord. And Mrs. Trenoweth said, that's impressive. And I believe they used to have like a little star board. And then I got to go back to the room and put a star next to my name. And at the end of the week, at the end of the month or something, someone got a valuable prize. But I remember running home, and my mom said, how was your day? And I said, no one knew how the American Revolutionary War started, Mom. And I said it was the Battle of Lexington and Concord. And my mom said, I am so proud of you, sweetie. Have a cookie before dinner. I want you to feel like you're getting a cookie before dinner when you're around me. So if you think about that, what are you doing in your personal and professional lives to let people feel like they're getting a cookie before dinner? How are you making them feel so okay that they can be themselves, they can share their challenges, they can talk about their dreams and expectations? Remember on day one, I said Rod Hatley, a colleague and friend and client, an attorney in San Diego, said, if you want to be valuable, be vulnerable. You will not be vulnerable with me if you feel not okay. It's my job to make sure you feel okay during the entire process. The other thing I would say about okayness, not okay, it's incumbent upon you to make them feel okay. And here's another thing. You probably already know this, but I'm speaking to the salespeople. And a lot of you sell anything, even if you're selling an idea to your students, you're selling. Sales is not a place to get your emotional needs met. Sales is a place to go to the bank that allows you to buy whatever you want to get your emotional needs met. So if you think about that, if you're interested in business or sales, don't do it because you want to feel better about yourselves, because you're probably going to feel worse. Right? And it's my job to make sure you feel okay. So no matter what happens, you share something. Imagine I share something with you that's horrible in my life, and you go, oh my gosh, I've never heard such a story. Sucks to be you. I promise you, I'm not sharing anything else for the rest of my life when I interact with you. But if you say, I hear that a lot, I would have done the same thing. That makes total sense to me. Imagine if a student came up to you and said something, and you said, that happened to a friend of mine in high school. That student who feels not okay anyway, based on who he or she is, would feel so much better. That client who you're uncovering pain and you find out they lost $100,000 last quarter, and you say, hey, you know what? I've met with a lot of business owners with you. I know it sounds really bad to you, but I met with a lot of other business owners. They've experienced a lot worse. So here's my thought. Someone may feel like a loser, but you don't want them to feel like the biggest loser on Loserville Island. Nobody wants that to happen. So if you normalize their experience, they'll give you more. If you make them feel okay, they'll give you more information. If you make them feel not okay. Buzzwords, jargon, big words, acting better, talking about all the great clients you've worked with. Now, all those clients I listed are true. And I'm very proud to be able to work with those clients, but I don't need to share that with you. Now, if you ask me, what are some of the clients you work with, I can say it. But if I just start talking about the clients I work with, that just sounds like I'm being just bragging. And nobody likes a bragger. And here's the other thing, you're going to learn this in another tip. But whenever you have to brag through your clients. Brag through your former students. This is what our former students told me. This is what my former clients told me, or my current clients have told me. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. We all have been to a place where someone made us feel not okay. And your job, whatever you do, is to make people feel okay during your entire experience. And I promise you, you'll have much richer relationships in your personal and your professional and your business, and especially with your children, because they come to you when they're not okay. And what can you do to make sure that they feel okay? And it doesn't matter their age. It never changes, right? And so I thank you so much for being here today. If you like this, please share it. Please comment. I would love that. I really appreciate the feedback. And I'm getting better in the technology. I thought I had the computer already dialed in, but for some reason, Facebook Live didn't go on. And remember day one, I asked for help. So many of you reached out and said, what can I do to assist you? You sent me messages. I've got someone, John Ennis, dear friend from Emerson, said, I got a tech guy. He's waiting for your call. Imagine I have someone on standby to assist me. You see how beneficial it is to ask for help. So day one, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, go back and watch it. The best thing I can offer is ask for help. Day two, we talked about listening skills, the importance of listening. And we talked about a networking event, don't go first. Let someone else go first. And then today we talked about okay, not okay. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. West Coast time, noon East Coast time, I will be back with you. I look forward to joining me as well. Once again, if you like this, please share it. Please comment below. Really appreciate you. Wishing you great selling, wishing you great relationships, and everything you do. Cheers.